Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our reading through the Tanak night, Wednesday night. Okay, we're going to be reading out of the book of 2 Samuel for our scripture reading. We'll be reading chapters 11 through 15. We're going to read each chapter and we're going to break it down and then talk about it, okay? Go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and share it. And for those that want to help this channel move along, we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. That too would be greatly appreciated. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior, our Redeemer, the Deliverer, Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to our true identity and also understanding that their Savior, who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel. And welcome to our Wednesday night class. Welcome to our reading through the Tanakh class, okay? We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we'll open it up as usual, and we have questions and comments and dialogues and any testimonies for anybody. And then we'll go into our topic for discussion. And my topic for discussion is that it's hundreds of thousands of U.S. retirees are fleeing America. We're going to listen to that video, and then we're going to dissect it, talk about it, okay? And then, like I said, our scripture reading will be out of 2 Samuel, chapters 11 through 15, okay? Then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do at the end of every class. And we'll read that scripture, and then we'll break it down, okay? Then we'll close out. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in his last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee. We are we come worshiping thee because of thy great steadfastness and might. Oh Lord, you delivered our forefathers out of Egypt and Babylon with a show of great force. Oh Lord, you foretold that you would deliver us from the hands of our enemies, the Gentiles, just as your servant David examined the book of Jeremiah and realized your coming. Oh Lord, you have opened our eyes to these books that have been hidden from us. And oh Lord, we have discovered that you foretold that through the prophets that you are coming to deliver us. And we are waiting and seeking you, O Lord, at this hour, seeking and waiting for your return. Tarry not, O Lord, and stretch forth thy hand upon your enemies and scatter them. Come from thy holy habitation and turn back our captivity. Peace be unto you. Okay? So with that being said, read the song right quick. Okay? Okay. Psalms 86. If I can find it. Okay. Okay, I read Psalms 86. It's teaching me the way, O Lord. The prayer of David. Bow down thine ear, O Lord. Hear me, for I am poor and needy. Preserve my soul, for I am holy. O thou my God, save thy servant that trusteth in thee. Be merciful unto me, O Lord, for I cry unto thee daily. Rejoice the soul of thy servant. For unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. For thou, Lord, art good and ready to forgive, and plenteous in mercy unto all them that call upon thee. Give ear, O Lord, unto my prayer, and attend unto the voice of my supplications. In the day of my trouble, I will call upon thee, for thou wilt answer me. Among the gods there is none like unto thee, O Lord, neither are there any works like unto thy works. All nations whom thou hast made shall come and worship before thee, O Lord, and shall glorify thy name. For thou art great and doeth wondrous things. Thou art God alone. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and I will walk in thy truth. Unite my heart to fear thy name. I will praise thee, O Lord, my God, with all my heart and with and I will glorify thy name forevermore. For great is thy mercy toward me, and thou hast delivered my soul from the lowest hell. O God, the proud are risen against me, and the assemblies of the violent men have sought after my soul, and have not set thee before them. Be thou, O Lord, but thou, O Lord, art a God full of compassion and graciousness, long suffering, and plenteous in mercy and truth. O turn me and have mercy upon me. Give thy strength unto thy servant, and save the son of thy handmaid. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it and be ashamed, because thou Lord, have helped me and comforted me. Okay, those are Psalms 86. It's a Psalm of David. Teach me thy way, O Lord. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. So with that being said, we go to our current events. Okay. We'll play them like I said, and then we'll get some feedback.
Right now, the world is staring at one crisis: missile strikes, emergency summits, analysts predicting how the Iran war could reshape global alliances. News networks are looping the same maps, the same warnings, the same speculation about what comes next. For many viewers, it feels as if the entire international system has paused to watch a single conflict unfold. But history rarely changes under the brightest spotlight. Sometimes the real shift begins somewhere quieter, where almost nobody is paying attention. While the world was absorbed by that war, a different meeting was taking place thousands of kilometers away in West Africa. No dramatic speeches, no global media frenzy, just military leaders from across the region gathering in Sierra Leone to discuss something that has been debated for years but rarely pushed forward decisively. Yet by the end of those discussions, a decision had been made. A decision about regional coordination that could quietly reshape how West Africa handles its own security in the years ahead. And almost nobody outside the region noticed. But why should they? Is it really a big deal? Let's find out. The decision itself began with a meeting that, on the surface, looked almost routine. Military chiefs from across West Africa traveled to Freetown, Sierra Leone, for a regional security gathering under the framework of the Economic Community of West African States. These types of meetings happen regularly. Officers present reports, review regional developments, and discuss ways to improve coordination between their countries. To anyone reading the schedule, it would have looked like a technical summit. But inside the conference room, the discussion was more serious than usual. For years, leaders across West Africa have faced a complicated reality. The region is deeply interconnected. Borders stretch across deserts, forests, rivers, and trade corridors where people move every day for work, farming, and commerce. Communities often live on both sides of national boundaries, and markets depend on goods moving freely between countries. This interconnected geography creates opportunity, but it also creates responsibility. If a security challenge appears in one place, It rarely remains confined to that location. It can move along the same routes that connect towns and economies across the region. Governments have learned that dealing with such situations separately, country by country, can leave gaps. That is the strategic problem the military chiefs in Freetown were discussing. How do you coordinate responses when the situation affects more than one state? Their answer was not to create something entirely new, but to strengthen an existing regional framework that had been discussed for many years. The leaders agreed to move forward with activating the ECOWAS Standby Force, a structure designed to allow West African countries to coordinate deployments when collective action becomes necessary. The first phase of the plan focuses on preparing roughly 2,000 troops who could operate under a regional command structure if required. Each participating country would contribute personnel and support while maintaining control over its own national military. In practical terms, the standby force functions like a shared system of coordination. Instead of governments responding individually to regional challenges, the framework allows them to plan and operate together. For policymakers involved in the meeting, this step was about strengthening the regional organization, not replacing national institutions, not creating a new military hierarchy, but building a mechanism that allows neighboring states to act collectively when circumstances demand it. Still, one question hangs over the entire decision. If the idea of a regional standby force has existed for decades, why are West African leaders choosing this moment to push it forward more seriously than before? Leaders across the region have long recognized that cooperation between neighboring states is essential when dealing with challenges that stretch across borders. But recognizing an idea and actually implementing it are two very different things. For a long time, the standby force remained more of a framework than a fully activated system. Meetings were held, strategic papers were written, committees examined how such a force could function. Yet turning those plans into real operational capability always moved slowly. Part of the reason was simple. Building a regional structure requires trust. Each participating country has its own military command, its own national priorities, and its own political realities. Coordinating those different systems into a single operational framework takes time, negotiation, and careful planning. Another challenge was logistics. A regional force is not just about troops. It requires transportation networks, communication systems, planning structures, and funding mechanisms that allow soldiers from different countries to operate together effectively. Creating that kind of coordination is a complex process, especially when governments are also managing domestic responsibilities at home. Define.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube.
Resources must be available to support operations, which brings us to another important dimension of this decision. Even the strongest political idea will struggle without the practical capacity to support it. So the next question becomes unavoidable. Once a regional force begins to take shape, how will the countries involved sustain it over time? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. A regional force is not simply a group of soldiers assembled from different countries. It needs transportation to move across long distances. It needs communication networks so units from separate militaries can understand each other instantly. It needs planning centers capable of coordinating operations that may involve multiple governments at the same time. Without those systems, cooperation remains theoretical. That is why the decision to begin with roughly 2,000 troops is important. The number is not designed to overwhelm or impress. Instead, it allows the region to test how coordination will work in practice. Think of it like a pilot project. Military planners can examine how command structures operate, how information flows between participating countries, and how quickly forces can be mobilized when needed. If those systems function smoothly, the framework can expand gradually. This approach also reflects a practical understanding of resources. Regional initiatives depend on contributions from member states.
So what has happened is Africa came together and assembled this big African army uh, the whole time while we've been watching what's going on over there in the Middle East. This is what they've done. Anybody heard anything about it?
Shalom, everybody. No, sir, Brother Leonard, I haven't heard anything about this one.
Okay. Okay, I got something else right here. I thought this was pretty interesting, so that's why I'm playing it.
In the heart of West Africa, a single moment of truth has just shattered a decade-old mask of deceit. For years, the world was told a specific story about the Sahel. We were told that the help coming from the West was pure, that the intentions were humanitarian, and that the organizations arriving on our soil were there to save our lives. But as of this week, that illusion is dead. In a major groundbreaking development, the government of Burkina Faso, led by Captain Ibrahim Traore, has stripped away the camouflage. 8 European NGO operatives have been arrested. These aren't just aid workers. They stand accused of spying, collaborating with the very rebel forces tearing the region apart, and feeding classified military intelligence to foreign powers. Think about the gravity of that for a second. 8 individuals who walk among our people wearing the face of humanitarian aid, but who have now been exposed as calculated agents of manipulation. According to reports verified by national intelligence sources, these NGOs members were caught red-handed. They weren't distributing grain. They weren't healing the sick. They were gathering sensitive data on Burkina Faso's military movements, mapping out strategic resources and tracking civilian programs, only to funnel that data directly to terrorist collaborators and their handlers in Europe. For years, African nations have whispered about this charity to espionage pipeline in the shadows, but under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso has finally stopped whispering. This is not just an arrest, this is a declaration of the globe. It is a signal that the era of foreign manipulation in the Sahel is officially over. Let's talk about the NGO individuals complex. For years, these so-called non-governmental organizations have operated across Africa under a banner of partnership. They arrive with bright banners, organize workshops, and temporary shelters. They hand out medicine with one hand, but we have to ask, what is the other hand doing? Behind the surface of generosity lies a much darker, much more complicated mission. Often, these groups serve as the eyes and ears of the very powers that once colonized this continent. They operate under the radar, mapping the strength of our national armies and identifying local allies who are actually internal destabilizers. Even Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, General Christopher Musa, recently put it in plain terms. He noted that some of these NGOs are actually providing food and medicine to the same rebel groups attacking our soldiers. They call it neutrality. We call it betrayal. So yesterday morning, the game changed. Acting under direct instructions from Captain Traore, Burkina Faso's intelligence services carried out a coordinated multi-region strike. 8 European nationals affiliated with Western NGOs were detained after months of high-level surveillance. The evidence is staggering. Sources close to the operation confirmed these suspects were transmitting sensitive patrol schedules and the coordinated of strategic mining sites directly to rebel channels near the Mali border. So when the handcuffs went on, they tried to claim they were just accessing humanitarian access. But the data retrieved from their encrypted laptops and satellite phones told a different story. The mask of aid didn't just slip, it was torn off. Predictably, the reaction from Europe was instant and loud within hours, officials were expressing outrage. They called the arrest unjustified. They demanded immediate release. They reached back into that old colonial toolbook and started using the language of human rights, diplomatic norms. But I have a question for those officials. Where was that concern when European powers were siphoning Africa's resources for pennies? Where was that outrage when Western-sponsored rebel factions were burning villages in the Sahel? Let's be honest with ourselves. Europe's anger isn't just about justice. It's about losing control. These NGO agents were not random volunteers. They were extensions of the same networks that have extracted gold, cotton, and uranium from African soil for centuries. They are mad that 8 people are in a cell. They are mad because their plan A for regional destabilization just hit a brick wall. Traore's government has done what a few African states ever dared to do. He didn't just complain, he acted. He didn't just issue a statement, he issued a warrant of arrest. From that moment, Ibrahim Traore took power. He made a secret promise to the people. Burkina Faso will never be ruled by foreign hands. Not
Okay. Anybody got anything on that? What you think? Okay.
Shalom, brother Leonard. What do you think about that? Is that smoke and mirrors or?
Oh no, it makes sense because of it had to be some kind of system they had in place. The reason they have us, I mean, like she was saying, how they had pillaged us all this time. They had to have some kind of inside operation in order to keep doing what they was doing. So it makes sense. Like I said, yeah, we see that all the time. It's going on right now. Like I said, with Piers Morgan and Tucker Carlson and all them. They didn't know all of a sudden they're supposed to be the flip. So it's just they were all working together, but they got us thinking they didn't. You know, it's separate things, but it's all one system they got in place, and that system is the reason why they still on top, and the reason why they've been on top as long as they have. Psychological. JC, same way. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm gonna play this right here. This is another one right here. Right along with Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan is this guy right here. Lean back. Here we go. Listen to a little bit of this. Him and the Jew.
So with the war going on and everything else going on in the world, we talk a lot about politics. I do a lot of that on this channel, talking about politics. But in this video, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to talk about some spiritual matters, some spiritual messages that we really need to hear at this time with the world in such turmoil. And I'd like to do it using someone I admire greatly, and I've done a number of videos using his material on this channel, with a few comments made by Glenn Beck that I think are really worth listening to, and I have something to say about them. Before we get to that, please go ahead and, while we're on the topic of keeping a biblical perspective, keeping a spiritual perspective, one of the other offerings of Israel 365, I talk about Israel 365 a lot. I work for Israel 365. I'm part of the leadership of that organization. But make sure to check out Israel365news.com. If you're looking for a news website out of Israel, written from a biblical faith perspective, Israel365news.com. There are opinion pieces written by both Christians and Jews. It specifically brings together Christian and Jewish voices into the same news website. So this isn't a Jewish website targeting Christians. It's not a Christian website targeting Jews. Yes, it is run by Israel 365. We are a Jewish organization, but many of the authors are Christian. And we bring you the news and analysis, again, with a strong biblical faith perspective. So please go check that out if you're looking for a good news website, Israel 365 News. But let's get to Glenn Beck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you 2 clips of Glenn, and I'm going to make comments in between them. Okay, so here's the first clip by Glenn. And they're both from the same monologue. It's two parts of the same monologue that he gave. Very important messages. Here we go.
I want you to take a look at the world that we are standing in right now. A war with Iran that is already drawn in the United States and Israel and starting to separate people. Oil routes are threatened, missiles crossing borders, regional powers trembling, the Vatican pleading for bombs to stop. There is a description of these times at the end of the Bible. It's wars and rumors of wars. And that's the way everything kind of feels right now. You know, you might have heard your father, your grandfather say, there are no atheists in a foxhole. The prospect of war, even one across the world, makes people reach for ancient stories and holy books, whether you're religious or not. It happens. And there is something unsettling that is going on. And something about this war in particular that makes us think about the ancient world and the beginning of everything, but also the end of everything. You know, whether that's nuclear war or the apocalypse, things that none of us want to think about. We don't want to think about those things. Christians believe that upheaval, apostasy, calamity, a moral collapse are signs of the end. But we don't know when that end is. This has happened over and over again all throughout history. Some Jews look at Israel restored in their land, surrounded by enemies, and asking whether, wow, is history moving to the place where the Messiah, as promised to the Jews, is coming? Muslims, especially with the Shia eschatology, they hear this language of oppression and chaos and deception and war and ask whether, is Trump the Dajjal? Is he the Antichrist? They're actually saying that in parts of the Middle East. He might be the Antichrist. Is the Mahdi coming? And their own tradition speaks of widespread injustice and the Mahdi being revealed. Jesus comes back, but not as Jesus, as, you know, anyway, the deceiver falling, the great Satan falling, and history rushing towards a reckoning. So let me talk to you about what's happening here. What do you see happening? The world's great faiths are not suddenly agreeing on every doctrine. They're doing something more haunting than that. They are all staring at the same storm, each from a different tower, each from a different text, each with a different vocabulary, but they're all looking at the horizon and saying in one form or another, this may not be ordinary. Civilizations don't merely collapse from bad economics or failed diplomacy. Sometimes they do. They collapse when they lose any sense that eternity has a claim on them. When nothing is sacred and everything becomes negotiable. And we have been here in the last 25 years. Marriage is negotiable. Truth is negotiable. Whose truth? What truth? Your truth. Children become negotiable. They're not your children. They belong to somebody else, the school, the state. We can do whatever we want because they're not underage, really. We can adjust their body. How do you know what sex is? Justice is negotiable. Even human life is negotiable. And once people have lost the permanent, they become the perfect prey for the intermediate. And that's where we are right now. And believe.
Okay, so I want to address this from a Jewish faith perspective. First of all, he talks about how this war feels different and that all the different faiths on earth right now are looking at it. The Jews are looking at it certainly through a spiritual lens. We have been since October 7th. The Muslims certainly are. Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th for religious reasons. They say that. They named the war after the Temple Mount, after Al-Aqsa. The Iranian regime certainly, as he pointed out there, are trying to bring the Mahdi and bring apocalypse to the world to summon their Messiah figure. we feel that something different is going on. And what's more, in our political discourse, as I've pointed out in other videos on this channel, faith issues have become part of the political discourse. Christians who are still holding fast to replacement theology are attacking Christian Zionists who are, for their support of Israel. There's all kinds of spiritual matters that have come into the politics. Let me put it a simpler way. The war in Vietnam, the Korean War, World War II, World War I, these were brutal wars. But they weren't about religion. They weren't faith wars. The war that we're in now, this war with Iran, this is a religious war. The other side certainly knows it. We need to recognize it too. Israelis, many Israelis, especially younger Israelis, Israel is the younger you go, the more spiritually committed Israelis are. The younger generation is very spiritually plugged in. And we definitely recognize that there's something different about this war, something big, something end times feeling about it. I want to share with you a text. This is a text, an ancient text. It's from a book. I think I discussed it in another video, maybe on the Israel 365 channel. I don't remember. It's from a book called the Psikta Rabbati. Psikta Rabbati is a book of Midrash, an ancient rabbinic text. This book was compiled in the 6th or 7th century, around that era, but it was compiled then. Many of the teachings in it are acknowledged to be from a much, much earlier time that were passed down, and some of them are recorded in other versions elsewhere. But I want to read you one passage that I came across many years ago, and it's a passage about the end times. And I'm going to read it to you in Hebrew and translate it into English, because I know I have some Jewish listeners, Jewish viewers who will appreciate the Hebrew, but it's also, I don't have it in translation. So here's what it says. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yitzchak said, Shana shemelech HaMashiach nigla, in the year where the King Messiah is revealed. And when you're talking about a midrashic text and it says something specific like the year, it could mean the era or like the more immediate time period. The year that the King Messiah is revealed, Kol malchei ha'umot ha'olam mitgarim ze bazeh. All the kings, all the governments, all the kings of the nations of the world will be struggling with each other. They'll be fighting. And we currently have wars going, multiple major wars going on in the world. But look at this line. Melech Paras mitgareh b'melech Arabia. The king of Persia will attack the king of Arabia. When has this happened? Since the 7th century, since this was put down. The king of Persia is Iran. Arabia, obviously, the Arab countries are all being attacked by Persia. Could be Saudi Arabia is the biggest of them. That's Arabia. But all the Arabian countries are being attacked. The Arabian states are being attacked by Persia. So it says that. But it goes further. V'holech melech Arabia le'edom, litol etza mehem. And what does the king of Arabia do? He goes to Edom. Now, Edom, in rabbinic text, refers to, as the rabbis use the name Edom, there's no Edomites, even in the time they were writing this, there was no one who identified themselves as Edom. They use the name Edom, or Edom in Hebrew, to refer to the West, to Christendom, to Rome, which eventually became the Christian world. That's the term they use. Okay, and this is just kind of a term of art in midrashic text, that Edom refers to the West or Christendom. Most powerful Western nation, of course, is America. And the Arab states are all seeking help and seeking leadership under the umbrella of American leadership right now in this war. It's literally what it says here. B'chozer melech paras u'machriv et kol ha'olam kulo. Chozer often means to make an effort, to continue. The king of Persia is trying to destroy the entire world. That's what it says here. And all the nations of the world are raising a tumult, and they're confused. And that's what Glenn was talking about there, that there's a lot of confusion in our society today, and there's a lot of tumult, confusion at all levels. And they're falling on their faces. They don't know what to do with themselves. Everyone's in a state of confusion. Look at the way the NATO countries are behaving, and Trump's calling them out for it. Total confusion in the world, political confusion, societal confusion, the confusion that Glenn was talking about. And they'll be seized with pains like the pains of a birthing mother. And Israel is also in a tumult and confused. And they're saying, and Israel is saying, where can we go? Where can we come? And God says to them, Banai al tityaru. God says to Israel, my children, don't be afraid. Higia zman gulatchem. The time of your redemption has arrived. Now, I don't know, let's put it this way. If the Psikta is not talking about this war, then it's talking about another great war between Persia and the Arab nations, which then involves the West on the side of the Arab nations. If it's not talking about this war, is it talking about another massive war exactly like this one? We're living in remarkable times.
So this Jew right here, he's setting up the temple. That's what he's setting up. I'm gonna play a little more.
So when Glenn talks about different faiths looking at this war through a faith perspective, yes, we all are. We certainly are. And we know that something big is happening here because this is a war over faith. I talk about like the encroachment of Sharia law and Islam in the West a lot on this channel. It concerns me a lot. Glenn talks about it a lot also. That's one of the things I like about what he's been talking about these last few years. America and in other parts of the world, this is all interconnected. And the persecution of Christians by Muslims in Africa, like you see the Christian nations now aligning more with Israel because they recognize where we are. We are in a worldwide, it's not just a war. This isn't just politics. There's something much, much deeper going on. All right, let's see the next clip from Glenn. So this next clip is from the end of this same monologue.
Talk to you about today. I'm not going to make a prediction or lay out a timeline or a headline. I today want to pass a warning I feel more than compelled to share with you. Time matters right now in a way that is hard to explain with any kind of chart or data. The world is not falling apart randomly. There is a direction to it, and there is awareness beyond what we can see. I feel compelled to tell you, none of this is a surprise to God. None of this is catching him off guard. None of this is outside of his view, and neither are you. I believe deeply that people are being called quietly, individually, across different faiths, countries, different lives, not all with the same words, but with the same pull.
Acts.
You might feel it yourself, a pull to get closer to him, to simplify, to spit yourself out of the system, to return to the basics of how we are supposed to live. And I don't mean go live in a log cabin. I mean the way you're supposed to live in your own home. Because the times ahead are not going to be easy. There is going to be confusion. If you think you're confused now, you haven't seen anything. And there are going to be voices, loud, convincing voices that will try to pull you off course. And some will sound really righteous. Some you will agree, listen to everything, but mainly listen to him. Some will sound like they're right for a while. 1% off course is going to make a big difference. They will sound urgent, and they will sound like they have all the answers. They don't. I don't. I don't. I was talking with my staff this morning about the state of America, and we talked about how it reminds us of the battles in the Bible where the enemy is just consumed with the spirit of confusion, like a fog over their camp. And they just start killing their brothers and their allies instead of who they're supposed to be fighting. They just all turn on each other. That fog has clearly fallen over America. And we're watching right now the left rip itself apart for years, and it gobble other parts of the left. And now the right is joining in. But beyond politics, we're ripping each other apart in our own families, in our marriages. The spirit of confusion has us attacking the people we're supposed to be fighting with and not against.
Okay. Any feedback on that? What you think?
Shalom, brother Leonard. That confusion, need that come from the Lord of hosts.
Exactly. On the powers to be.
Right. Yes, sir.
And then you gotta go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother Leonard. I got another question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna ask where he was reading from. I missed where he said he was.
Jewish guy.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was my comment. I was gonna come with was
okay.
Well, okay. This not in the Bible, right? You got it from somewhere else.
Right.
So you got all these, especially mega pastors and these black pastors. All you need is these 66 books. When they hear anything else about Book of Enoch and all that, they immediately got a problem with it. They holler about it's all in the book. It's all in these 66 books. All you need. Well, where the hell this come from? If all we need is in 66 books, what's the Jew talking about? Okay, that's crazy. You did something?
Right, yes, sir. Especially when it's lining up
Right.
with what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So it's the name of this video is Glenn Beck. The world is not ready for what's coming. So you can go check it out. And I think he made mention of where it came from. Yeah. So yeah. Anybody else got anything on that?
Shalom, Brother. Shalom, everyone. Can you repeat the title again, sir?
Glenn Beck. The world is not ready for what's coming.
Okay, thank
you. Okay. So nobody else have anything? I'm gonna open it up for.
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, Brother Leonard and everyone. Yes, sir. So as I was thinking about that, I was speaking to a couple of friends of mine a couple of years ago, and we were saying, like, we're in a spiritual warfare right now. And that was about right during the time of COVID. And so I said, that's why, we're going to have it's going to be a breakout. It's going to be a war here. And it's constantly a war somewhere. Someone's on this earth here is fighting. Right now there's probably a war going on between whatever countries, and they're fighting. So I'm saying, like, is it really the war starts with the religious, um, cause, or is just the political cause? So I came across a book called The Seven Myths of Military History, the myth that religion has the cause of most of the wars that's going on. So I was thinking, what you think about that? Is that, like, if that's what he was saying, because of their religious belief and what they're believing in is causing these wars to happen?
Well, these people are always doing comparison and contrast, and they always they tallying up statistics and all that. So that's why they can make these assumptions about, oh, these the 5 things that's gonna happen in every war and all that, because they always tallying those things up, and they know just how to pretty much get you in the area where they want you at, because they did all the research on prior on the same events that happened prior. They got a blueprint. Like I said, what they doing right now, you got countless of men that came. They used to do this. Like I say, they call it the halogen dialectic, where they want something to happen. They want the people to accept a certain thing, so they bring drama to make you scream out for it. Then they give it to you, like they did with surveillance. Before 9/11, it wasn't no surveillance society or surveillance community. People rejected it, but they brought 9/11, brought all the drama. Then the people start crying out for surveillance because they made you think that these Arabs was going to destroy America if they didn't. So that's how they work. And like I said, guys like Glenn Beck, Tucker Carlson, uh, uh, Pierce Morgan, all them, they pros that it's a big system they use, and they use all them people that they like herd dogs. They're herding the people to a certain place that the powers to be want them to do and want them to be at. Like I said, when you see that, a prime example of that is what they did in the Middle East. And they had I told you about the Summer of Rage. They put all these slick talking operatives all over the Middle East and started stirring up this drama all over the place. And before you know it, the whole Middle East was in uproar. And they doing it right now with this Iran war. That's how they operate. Okay. And like I said, like he's saying, as if that, he don't know everything, as if he matters. These men don't matter. These ain't no real. We know them ain't no Israelites. They don't matter. And that's where so many black folks go wrong at, because they listen to them. But they're not part of the screen. They're not part of the Most High scheme or plan or blueprint. They're on the other side. Okay. Anybody else got a thing? Okay. Somebody got any other questions or comments? Any dialogue? Everybody good?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, let me play this. Okay.
All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Happy April to everybody out there. I don't know about you, but I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. And I got news that just keeps, pouring out of my anus for you guys. I mean, it's just endless. There's not a day where I look at things and I go, like news day. It just doesn't happen anymore. All right, so in just a second, we have the war further escalating out of control. We have massive explosions rocking Iran. We have pharmaceutical plants bombed. We have Amazon servers hit. This thing is getting really ugly really fast. So we'll talk about that. We also have an economic expert drops an apocalyptic warning for the global economy. I'll play that for you as well. This energy crisis is going to be much, much more than just an energy crisis. We also have U.S. allies are finally waking up to the reality of the situation. And they are snapping and they are turning on America and Israel at a record pace. I mean, we might witness history in terms of the fastest downfall of an empire, perhaps in history. We could be witnessing that unfold right now. And then later on, a 13-year-old accuser of Donald Trump can kind of now prove that she's been telling the truth all along. That's incredible. We have Alex Jones finally fully and completely turning on Trump and basically saying that he's going to die any second. That's incredible. And then also later on, Kash Patel is absolutely positively screwed when it comes to the Charlie Kirk case, because it turns out They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea who did it. They have no leads. They have no nothing. It's an absolute catastrophe. It's a mess. So buckle up and prepare for that. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody out there, please do me a big favor if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you absolutely nothing. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, y'all, there's real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never talked to a PAC or a billionaire or a foreign government or our government or anything like that. I'm very proud of that fact. So you guys keep this show going, $2 a month at a time, $5 a month at a time. Thanks again for all of you who do. You can also sign up for Chris Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below. And go sub to Corn's World so you can see the Kyle and Corn, the live Kyle and Corn episodes we do every single Monday night. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right in ski. Okay, so first let me start with this. We woke up to another fresh example of market manipulation and insider war profiteering from our pedophile, rapist, war criminal president, okay? So Trump posted this. Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized and far more intelligent than his predecessors, has just asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. We will consider when Hormuz Strait is open, free, and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion, or as they say, back to the Stone Ages. He gets so excited about, like, the most decrepit, depraved, evil shit you've ever seen. Like, he's positively ecstatic about bombing a country of 90 million people, quote, back to the Stone Ages. Now, understand something, and this is the hilarious part of this. The president before Trump started bombing of Iran was Masoud Pezeshkian. The president of the new regime is also Masoud Pezeshkian. It's literally the same guy. He's so lazy and he's so stupid with his attempt at market manipulation and war profiteering that he doesn't even bother to cook up a good lie. He talks about, oh, the new president's so much better. The new president is the same as the old president. You never killed him. You never got to him. The IRGC, you got some people in the IRGC, you never got the president. Oh my God, bro. It's so like, I'm telling you, man, the history books are going to look back on this era and they're going to be like, what on earth was in the water? How did things get this stupid this quickly? Okay, this is crazy. This is going to be stuck in my head forever. In fact, I'm going to hit like on this because I'm going to come back to this. I gotta commit this one to memory because this is so wild. A Trump administration official tells Axios, you ready for this quote? This is glorious. This isn't 3D chess. It's 12-dimensional. He contradicts himself regularly, so nobody knows what he's thinking. It's on purpose. They are quite literally arguing. No, our president isn't a liar and an idiot and a hypocrite. He's a strategic liar and idiot and hypocrite. They expect you to believe this. They expect you to believe, oh, he's got this situation completely under control. You have no idea. He's playing 12-dimensional chess. Oh my God, man. Oh, shove a spiky bat in my anus. I can't take this shit anymore. Give me an ice pick and I'll jam it in my eye. Jesus Christ, man. What are we talking about? Ed Krasenstein says the following. Breaking, a major sign of a potential U.S. ground invasion. 12 U.S. A-10C Thunderbolt II Warthogs just landed at RAF Lakenheath in the UK en route to the Middle East for Operation Epic Fury. This is a major sign of potential ground invasion against Iran. The A-10 is built for close air support. Its 30-millimeter cannon is intended to shred tanks and armor, and it's known to protect ground troops with rockets, missiles, and bombs. So we have a little video of it here. I'll click that for you here for a second. So they're saying that this particular thing is going to be used in the course of the ground invasion of Iran. Now, as I told you guys, there's actually about 50,000 U.S. troops who've been called up for Operation Epstein Fury. 50,000. And you can't say I didn't warn you in advance. I've been saying this for quite a while now, but don't die for Israel. Don't die for the axis of Epstein. They are sending you to be cannon fodder. That's what's happening. They are going to shove you into the imperialist meat grinder. Okay, that's what's going to happen because there's no way this is going to go as they think. This is a baboon regime. This is government by whim of 12-year-old boy. You've seen the Pete Hegseth speeches. They're the most cringe, insane things I've ever seen in my life. They have no idea. Like, they're going to try to take Karg Island and a couple other islands. Then U.S. soldiers are going to get blown to smithereens. Then Trump's going to fucking panic, and Lord only knows what happens then because I fear he could immediately go to the nuclear option in that scenario. But they have this like fantasy that they cooked up in their minds of like, as soon as we take these islands, the Iranians will go, oh, you've got us. There's nothing we can now do. okay, I guess we'll give up and wave the white flag. They're not going to do that. Are you insane? Have you noticed that every time the axis of Epstein escalates, Iran responds in kind? They're not backing down. They're not wilting, and they don't fucking trust you. So even when Trump pretends for 7 seconds, like, we're going to make a deal, a peace deal, they go, why should we think you're going to stand by your word when every other time you haven't stood by your word, and you did fake peace negotiations and then murdered some of our top guys multiple times? What do you think, we're idiots? So I'm sorry, this thing is done. It's a total mess. All right, more. Massive explosions following U.S.-Israeli strikes in Isfahan, Iran. So I'll play this one for you as well. This is a giant explosion here. Take a look. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. So we'll get to the speculation on this in a second, but many people are saying this is one of those 2,000-pound bombs. The 2,000-pound bombs that Israel likes to use in civilian populations, even when the U.S. is hesitant to do that. We famously didn't use them in Fallujah because it killed too many civilians in one shot, whereas Israel was using them all over Gaza and getting civilians left and right. So massive explosion. And they say it appears like it might be a weapons depot that they were going for. Okay. Now, I'm a little skeptical for the simple fact. The subtext is now everybody in the regime is knifing everybody else in the regime to try to save their own ass cheeks. Okay. There were articles about how they said, oh, J.D. Vance said, if you're going to go in big, right? So they said J.D. Vance was pro-war and he tried to, and then Marco Rubio said something and stabbed somebody else in the back. And now clearly you have J.D. Vance or Susie Wiles or somebody trying to blame Pete for this. So they're all trying to wash their hands because they know this is an absolute catastrophe. This is an absolute disaster. It's spiraled out of control. All hell has broken loose. They have no idea what the fuck to do. And so now they're just pointing fingers at each other. That's what's happening. Now, having said all that, I'm sure this is factually accurate because this fits with his character, right? Okay, more. We know now a total of 348 U.S. service members have been wounded in the war with Iran. 315 of them have returned to duty. 6 service members are considered seriously wounded. So as of right now, what they admit is 13 days says Israel will destroy all homes in Lebanese villages near the border, and 600,000 people who fled the south will not be allowed home until northern Israel is secure, the defense minister said on Tuesday, vowing to inflict Gaza-like destruction in the area. So you let them get away with the genocide in Gaza, and now they're going, oh, there are no consequences. I could just keep doing this. I can create the greater Israel. I can steal massive parts of Syria. I can steal all of Lebanon. I can keep expanding and expanding and expanding until we hit what they believe is their biblical right to the entire Middle East, as Mike Huckabee said directly to Tucker's face, by the way. So as all that's going on, Marco Rubio went on Good Morning America and listened to what he had the nerve to say here about Iran.
And at the end of the day, I think that if there are people in Iran who now, given everything that's happened, are willing to move in a different direction for their country, that would be great. Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran, you'd have a much different country. So we are always hopeful that that would exist over there.
You have got to be kidding me. Could you imagine if Iran spent their money on the people instead of on like violence and destruction and military and terrorism, bro? Is it possible to die from hearing something so stupid and so hypocritical? Is that possible? Because I'm pretty sure I may have just had an aneurysm sprout up in my body. I'm pretty sure I may be on limited time until it's over. At the same time this is happening, ready? GOP weighs healthcare moves to pay for Iran war. Now that is a very fancy way of saying the GOP is going to cut healthcare to pay for the Iran war. I'm not kidding. They already kicked 18 million people off Medicaid in the big bullshit bill, okay? Up to 742 rural hospitals are going under as a direct result of the big bullshit bill. You have health insurance premiums, because of their assault on Obamacare, health insurance premiums are going to double, triple, quadruple, in some cases more than that. And now they're going, let's cut healthcare more in order to fund this illegal and offensive war that nobody wants. Guys.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that? Okay, everybody good?
Shalom alaikum, everyone.
Okay.
Brother Leonard, I guess we keep seeing this. Excuse me. I guess it's not new to anybody, but he's continually, President Trump, that is, lying about everything. And all of the leaders from Iran keep saying something completely different, which is that they're ready to keep fighting, whether boots are on the ground or not. One leader even said something along the lines of they'll have a surprise for America because they've been waiting for this for years.
Okay.
And in the clip, there was something stated along the lines of President Trump going back and forth, but I wanted to know what you think about that, because we know the people behind him have a plan, but why is he, to the public, going back and forth with things and not staying committed?
Because that's how they operate. Like I said, they doing one thing over here with their right hand, and the agenda they got going on, they doing it with the left hand. They've been doing that ever since 2,500 years ago. That's to keep the population disoriented. Okay. That make any sense to you?
Yes, sir, it does.
Right. Yeah. So that's what they do. I mean, they do it on a local level, up to the governmental level. I mean, a prime example is reparations. They had no intentions on giving it to us, but look what they was doing all this time, like they was, something was gonna get ready to happen, and then now they make a vote. 123 countries say, yeah, it's the greatest atrocity ever happened in the world, and then they say it was legal. So that means whole time that's how they felt. But they had all of America and the Caribbeans and everybody that they, as if they was working toward some kind of result. And they don't have no intentions whatsoever. That's just to string us along while they steady getting their accomplishing their agenda. Okay.
Brother Leonard, in regards to what you just said, did you hear about today the president going to the Supreme Court and talking about getting rid of the 14th Amendment, which is birthrights?
Yeah, birthright citizenship.
Yes, sir.
Right. I seen a couple of videos on that, but I hadn't got around to watching.
It's overwhelming because, everybody has their summary and their commentary, but they showed a clip of yesterday Donald Trump saying something along the lines of, look, this isn't for Chinese billionaires or people from other countries, billionaires from other countries that have 50, 20, 30, 10 children. This amendment is for slaves. And the news outlet that played the clip stopped at that. But what it's telling me is, and that is what it was for, that is when it came in. But what it's telling me is he's trying to get rid of it, and I could be wrong, so that the people who it was made for can all of a sudden become illegal aliens. My family members and I talked about it, and it was like, well, okay, they got done with the brown people, so now we need to start moving on to another group to deport. But it was very interesting that he distinguished rich people from slaves. That's basically what he said, that this amendment was for slaves, not for everybody. So if I get rid of it, it was almost like, if you get rid of it, then what? We don't have slaves anymore. So are you saying everybody who's a descendant of slaves is illegal? I'd like to know what happened today when he went to the Supreme Court, but I don't know. Shalom.
Well, to me, it's like it's lining right up with what Pastor Manny said. Evidently, something along those lines got to happen for them to start rounding all the blacks up.
Yes, sir.
Got to be something along those lines to happen. Oh yeah. Okay. So this ain't my topic for discussion. I'm gonna play this and then we'll start reading out 2 Samuel.
This isn't
I thought this was a big deal right here.
Vacation or some midlife crisis in a vineyard. This is a mass migration on a scale we haven't seen in over 90 years. Today, I am breaking down the 3 major reasons for this historic exodus. First, we're looking at the math of the exit. Then, it's a head-to-head showdown between the 2 most exited U.S. states and the 2 most popular expat destinations, where the monthly nut for a comfortable life gets cut in half. And lastly, the reality protocol, where I'll give you the mechanics on the rules that you must know so your new life does not become a crime scene. So let's dive in.
Okay.
And I have spent over 26 years in the real estate trenches, and now I only do one thing, and that is help pre and post retirees find their next best place. So, first, I need to take a second to set the stage for you. For the first time since the Great Depression, literally since 1935, the United States hit negative net migration in 2025. Think about that. The Brookings Institute just dropped the data. We are looking at a deficit of up to 295,000 people. And it's not just the kids looking for adventure. It's the 65 plus crowd, the people with the equity, the people with the social security checks, the people who have finally realized that staying in a high tax, high stress American hub could be a one-way ticket to the poorhouse and a fate worse than a front row seat at a Yoko Ono concert. Social Security Administration is the smoking gun here. As of early 2026, over 760,000 Americans are drawing their checks while living permanently abroad. That is a 76% increase since 2019. We aren't talking about thinking about, we are talking about 750,000 people who actually did the paperwork, sold the house, and moved their life to a different time zone. They aren't running away. They are running towards a life that actually adds up. And as a side note, estimates suggest 4 million to 9 million Americans are now expats. And to be very clear, these numbers are not people who are being forcibly or self-deported. So let's start.
So it ain't just, so it's not just us in the midst of an exodus. It's a lot of people in the midst of it. This place is gonna be like a third world country when it's all over. The name of this video is 100,000 of U.S. retirees are fleeing. So if you want to watch it, check it out. I just wanted to shine a light on the fact that it's not just us on the way out of here. A bunch of these people they left this place. This place got a mark on it. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. So everybody fleeing back to where they from.
Exactly. Exactly what it is. And then he put the spirit on them because of this place is marked for destruction. Prophesied for destruction. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and go to read our 5 chapters. We're over in the book of 2 Samuel. We reading chapters 11 through 15. You want to read chapter 11, Brittany, or you not reading what? What you got? Okay, Jay, you want to read? Miss Joyce?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Yes, sir. 2 Samuel chapter 11. It came to pass after the year was expired at the time when kings go forth to battle that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel. And they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still in Jerusalem. And it came to pass in eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. Verse 5. And the woman conceived and sent and told David, and said, I am with child. And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his Lord, and went not down to his house. Verse 10. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my own house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest and as thou soul liveth, I will not do this thing. And David said to Uriah, Tarry here today also and tomorrow, and I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass, when Joab city, observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people of the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite also died also. 18. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, When thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he shall unto thee, wherefore approach ye so nigh unto the city when ye did fight? Knew ye not that they would shoot from the wall? Who smote Amalek the son of Jerubbaal? Not did not a woman cast a piece of millstone upon him from the wall, that he died in the bass? Why went ye nigh the wall? Then say thou, Thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger went and came and shewed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, Surely the men prevailed against us and came out unto us into the field, and we were upon them even unto the entrance of the gate. And the shooter shot from off the wall upon thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead, and thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said unto the messenger, Thou shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoured one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thy him. 26. When the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. That was 2 Samuel chapter 11, 1 through 27. Shalom.
Okay. Got a thing on that?
Yeah, I want to ask a question about this spirit of lust that came upon David, knowing that he knew what he knew, that this was, not to be done. This was something that he should not have done, but it appears that this spirit of lust came upon him, and he was willing to do what it took to have this desire he had to have Uriah killed. um so can you kind of explain that? Shalom.
Well, it started. It started when he, like I was saying about when you talk about Abraham, and Enoch, and all them. The Bible keeps telling us that they excuse the. We know where it's coming from. These spirit of these giants, and they like the Bible says, they torment and coercing and conniving us all the way into the end. The Lord come back, Yahweh and his David and all them come back. But so when you go to verse 1, it says it came to pass after the time when king go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him, uh, and all Israel, and they destroyed the city. Verse 2. And it came to pass, and in the evening tide, that David arose from his bed and walked upon the roof of his king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful. So right there, that's where the lust came in at, but he didn't excuse it. And so from that, he just went downhill. Because like it says, it's a hedge. And right here, when he adhered to this lust, then he opened the hedge up. And so then he went from that to sleeping with her to killing Uriah. He just went downhill. And that's what happens when he said, like he said, Abraham and Jacob. I mean, a prime example, the opposite of what David did. Joseph did the opposite. He excused evil. Okay.
Brother Leonard, I am able to read if needed. I'm sorry.
What's that?
I am able to read. I'm sorry. I couldn't find my mouse to get clicking.
Okay. Read chapter 2 then. I mean, chapter 12.
Okay, yes, sir. 2 Samuel chapter 12. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came
Can
unto
y'all hear
him.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, There were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb, which he had brought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock, and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, As the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing shall surely die. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, Thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house, and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus says the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with the wives in the sight of lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. For thou did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel, and before the sun. And David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, The Lord hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. And Nathan departed unto his house. And the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. David therefore besought God for the child. And David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth. But he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, Behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, Is the child dead? And he said, He is dead. Then David arose from the earth, and washed, and anointed himself, and changed his apparel, and came into the house of the Lord, and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. Then said his servants unto him, What thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive, but when the child was dead, thou didst rise and eat bread. And he said, While the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, Who can tell whether God will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he is dead. Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. And David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her. And she bare a son, and he called his name Solomon. And the Lord loved him. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jed, Jediah, Jedediah, because of the Lord. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David, and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have taken the city of waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together, and encamp against the city, and take it, lest I take the city, and it be called after my name. And David gathered all the people together, and went to Rabbah, and fought against it. And he took their king's crown from off his head, the weight whereof was a talent of gold, with the precious stones, and it was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brick kiln. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. And that was 2 Samuel chapter 12. Shalom.
Okay, you got any feedback on the chapter?
Yes, sir. One thing out of multiple is verse 18. And it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died. So I knew the child died. This is the first time I knew he literally died the day before he was going to be circumcised.
Okay.
So he was basically, he's an Israelite, but it was almost like he wasn't fully in a sense of words, because he couldn't even get to day 8.
Okay.
That surprised me. I've never realized that he died right before he should have been circumcised. This Joab person, it is just kind of in there, but it says 28 to gather the rest of the people and encamp against it and take it, unless I take it and it be
Right.
called after my name.
Right.
What? I've never noticed that verse. What military officer says that?
Well, that's the same thing was happening with Saul and David. They were saying David that got so popular that they were saying Saul killed thousands, but David killed tens of thousands. Same thing. So he's telling David, if I didn't weaken the city, and if I continue on and take it, it's gonna be named after me. So I weakened it. You need to go in and finish it off, so you get the credit, and it be named after you. That's what he's telling me.
Yes, sir.
He's the Lord of hosts, Joab. David the
Right.
king, he's the Lord of hosts. Right, yeah.
And then Brother Leonard, the fasting that David does and the weeping, in chapter 12, one thing that came to mind to me when I was reading this, the Bible for myself, I had always heard just keep praying about it, and it's almost like the Lord will answer your prayers. But David said what was right. After you pray, you get an answer. And he was hoping things would be turned around if he fasted and prayed. And he knew not to keep on because the Lord had made his decision. And that was something years ago that was hard for me to come to terms with, because growing up in the church or churches that I went to, it was like if you pray about it, you'll get the answer you want. Nobody really talked about how some things are meant to be, especially if they are are part of your punishment or judgment to help you do right. And I say to help you do right because later on in the Old Testament in the Tanakh we read that this was the only unrighteous thing he did. From then on, he was always on the straight and narrow. But that part in the chapter opened my eyes to you can ask for something, but depending on where you're at and what you're asking for, you might get a no. And David specifically, he was able to live, but that was his punishment, and the Lord didn't change his mind.
Right. So it's thinking like a Hebrew. I talked about this in a couple of different classes, but as Hebrew Israelites and our forefathers Enoch and all them, they understood that you pray. There's a such thing as praying through it. Like for example, what Daniel did. He started fasting and praying. He started, but it was 21 days. So the issue that he was praying about, he prayed through. He kept praying, and then Gabriel came and said that I heard you the first day when you first started praying, but I didn't make it here to 21 days. So it just happened. It was 21 days, but Daniel was going to pray till he got an answer. That's what David doing right there. That's what Hezekiah did when he got the 15 extra years of his life. But like I said, we thinking like we thinking like the Greeks and the Romans. What they done is we get down there and say something, blah blah this and that, and then we get up. No, whatever the issue is, you pray it through till you get an answer. That's how that works. Okay.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I just wanted to say something about that chapter too. So when he prayed through it and the son had died, before that, right after that, when he married Bathsheba, and the Lord of hosts allowed him to have Solomon. So that was something, even though he had taken a wife from someone and was under that spirit, and he did that, and then now he had taken Bathsheba after the son had died and married her, and now he could have Solomon. And like Sister Brittany said, then from then on, he didn't do anything, wrong again, because he was a praying man, and he asked God for things, the Lord of hosts for things, and and asked for his guidance and all. And that's why I asked in chapter 11, how would he just do that when he ask for things, and and ask for the guidance and everything. So I just got that out of there. I saw the difference there, where when he had done wrong and he prayed through it, and then when he had come to knowing that the Lord of hosts is just who he say he is, and until he makes you what he wants to make you, he'll do what he say he's going to do. And he killed the son, but he gave him Solomon to be a great king thereafter. So
Right. So like I had I brought this up before about the books that they've taken out that we don't read. They didn't denigrate the books so that we don't read them. Well, Nathan got a book, and then in the book of Nathan, I think I've talked with AJ about it. Verse 3, chapter 11, verse 3. David sent and inquired after the woman, right? So he said David sent after he saw her, how beautiful she was. He inquired about her, and one said, "Here you go." One said, "Is not this the Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah?" So there go. So back, you got to go back to what I said about when a man praying through. So all Bathsheba life, Elam been praying through. He got a prayer for Bathsheba that she marry a king. Her wit and her beauty and all that, is befitting of a king. So all her life, this man Elam been praying for that to marry a king.
Yes,
And
sir.
nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. So that's where Solomon come from. Even though after what David had done, then because of the seed that he got from that union, the Lord of hosts killed him, but then Solomon came. And that goes back to what Elam was doing. She received the king. So he answered Elam's prayers. His daughter got a king.
Yes, sir.
That's in the
Thank
book
you
of
for
Nathan. That's in the book of Nathan. So yeah. And like I say, it'll go over people's head. This is how I justify. This is how I get the truth out of these books when they saying one thing that is you can't believe nothing they saying over there. Well, there it is. It justified when you understand it. There it is, right there. This like it's a missing link. It cleans up what reason why what happened with David and Bathsheba. The first thing David did was inquire about who she was, and she belonged to Elam. Elam is a priest. And he's been praying all his life if she been born that she get a king. Matter of fact, Uriah was hiding him when he go to pray. And that's how Uriah got him. So yeah.
Shalom, everyone. Um, I want to say something about chapter 12. As far as David, when he's praying, he acknowledged what he did and he asked for forgiveness. Um, Psalms 51 explains when Nathan came, the prophet came unto David to tell him about, you know, what he did after he went into Bathsheba. And that Psalm 51 explains all of that, how in the midst of his praying, what he asked for, and how the words that he used, more or less than just like you said, forgive me, and then blah blah blah, and that's it. But he went into more of detailing his words to the Lord of Hosts for his forgiveness.
Okay. So nobody else have anything on that?
Brother Leonard, I did have a question on verse 10. If you could explain what it means. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. I know about later on how basically Judah is not over all the tribes. Is that what it's talking about? How you'll always have a king, but things will be messy because of this? What does that verse mean?
No, it's in David's house. So that's what we're getting ready to read now. David has it's just like the Ezekiel 35 years to Esau. Blood gonna follow him everywhere. So David killed Uriah. Blood is in his house. It's gonna follow him everywhere.
Okay.
So you're gonna read chapter 13, AJ. They're gonna explain it.
Right, yes, sir. And 2 Samuel 13, and it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being a king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed. and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come and give me meat and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then
So,
David,
look at what happened. Look at what's happening. David was on top of the house, saw Bathsheba. He didn't excuse the evil. He played into it. So now he told David, the sword gonna be in your house. Now here goes his son and his daughter. His son got vexed behind his daughter, but he didn't excuse the evil. It's a wicked ass dude inside his house that coerced him to go forward. He doing it. This is the Lord doing. David, just like David did with Bathsheba, now it's happening to his daughter. Keep going.
right, yes, sir. And it says, Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. And they went out, every man from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit, he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. And Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise and be gone. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins' apparel. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head and went on crying. And Absalom, her brother, said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister. He is thy brother. Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard all of these things, he was very wroth. And Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad. For Absalom hated Amnon because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it came to pass, and it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hazor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold, now thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him. Howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, and when I say unto you, smite Amnon, then kill him. Fear not, have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him up on his mule and fled. And it came to pass while they were in the way that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. Then the king arose and tare his garments and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shemiah, David's brother, answered and said, let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men, the king's sons, for Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom, this hath been determined from the day, excuse me, from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore, let not my lord the king take this thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead.
So this is what he's talking about when he said the sword is going to be in David. In it, when the Lord told David the sword was out, here it comes right here. This is the drummer. He bringing it because of what David did. Go ahead.
Sure. And it said, but verse 34, but Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, behold, the king's sons come. As the servant said, so it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur and was there 3 years. And the soul of David longed to go unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. And Shalom, that was 2 Samuel chapter 13.
Okay, what you got?
Brother Leonard, over back in chapter 12, right in chapter 12, verse 11, ain't this, well, we didn't get to this yet in the reading, but I'm asking, is this talking about Absalom, where it says, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall, okay, right.
Yeah, Absalom caught when David fled. Absalom brought all his concubines out and set a tent up in the middle of the city, and he slept with all of them. That fulfilled that right there you just read.
Right. Okay.
That also is part of what he means when he says the sword gonna be in his house, in David's house, because of what he done to Uriah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So notice how this dude. I told you about it. I talked about it before in a few other videos. This dude Jonadab, right?
Right.
So you see how what's his name was vexed behind his sister, which he's supposed to, like he says, excuse that. If you're a righteous Hebrew, you excuse it. You know, you can't ride on that being vexed with sex for your sister, right? So he says, Amnon, I'm in verse 13, chapter 13, verse 2. Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend. He go to the demon right here. Jonadab. See that? Had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shema, David's brother. And Jonadab was very subtle. The serpent was very subtle. Okay? But anyway, get over here to the end and look what happened. 13 and 34. Now he already set this up. He coerced Amnon to sleep with his sister. Now we in 30 what's name just killed his brother. Say, so I'm in 32. Jonadab, the son of Shema, David's brother, answered and said, he's still there with the drama. See that? This the demon that's in the house. Let my Lord, see how he talking? Let my Lord suppose that they have slain all the young men and the king's sons, for Amnon alone only is dead, and for by the because of him, by the appointment of Absalom. See, he's telling David that by the appointment of Absalom, see that has been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now, therefore, let not my lord the king take thing to his heart to think that all the king's sons are dead and Amon only is dead. Then keep going. But Absalom fled, okay, and the young men that kept the watch lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. Now here you go again. 35. Jonadab said unto the king, he and David here, behold, the king's sons come. And thy servant said, so it is. And it came to pass as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voices and wept, and the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But so, like I said, it's this wicked ass demon up in the house, wicked ass spirit in the house inside in Jonadab, bringing all the drama. Okay, you see that?
Right, yes, sir. And
Okay,
that's from the Lord of hosts.
right, exactly. So you're gonna read 4:14.
Yes, sir. Sister
I'll
Sure.
I'll read 15. Huh?
Shalom. I want to say one thing, if it's okay. Far as chapter 13 and we'll say from chapter 11 and 12 and 13, it's the consequences that happened when the king had sinned. All of this came about, and not only that, he got his house out of order. The Israel, the government became out of order too, with how the things happened there. So everybody is out of order because of that consequences of the sin that David did, and it trickled down. And also his son made things happen too because of his father. And that King David um, did broke commandments. He broke the Ten Commandments. So that's the plague that he receives because he broke those Ten Commandments, like doing adultery and then um, going against his neighbor and killing him and things like that. You know, thou shalt not kill, but he did. You know, had that his Bathsheba's husband to be killed. So those Ten Commandments he did um, caused a lot of ripple effects of what was happening in 12 and 13 chapter.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Just thank you for that. Um, I knew what happened with uh, the brother and the sister and the other brother that killed Amnon, and I did not correctly read 10 and 11. They go together, and like you said, it's in David's house. Um, and that makes more sense now. I I know we're about to read the chapters, but I had always wondered why were these things happening? And now I'm putting the dots together. This is why. Like Absalom trying to take the kingdom and everything, but now makes sense why all these things happened. Shalom.
Right. Okay. You gonna read 14, AJ? I'll read 15.
Right, yes, sir. And it says, now Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart. Hold on, my fault. Page. Okay, Zariah's, but the son of Zariah perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom, and Joab sent to Tekoa and fetched thence a wise woman and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil. Be as a woman that had a long time mourn for the dead, and come to the king and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. And thy handmaid had two sons, and they two strode together in the field, and there was none to part them. But the one smote the other and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew, and we will destroy the air also. So they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, iniquity be on me and my father's house, and the king of his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy sons fall to the earth. Then the woman said, Let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doeth speak this thing as one which is faulty, and that the king doeth not fetch home again his banished. For we must for we must needs die. For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doeth God respect any person, yet doeth he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid, and thy handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid, for the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that will destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thy handmaid said, The word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable, for as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, Hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, Let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, As thy soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right or to the left from aught that my lord the king has spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in the mouth of thy handmaid, to fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Joab done this thing, and my Lord is wise. Excuse me. And my Lord is wise according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. And the king said unto Joab, behold, now I have done it. I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, and that the king has fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him turn to his own house and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him. Therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. Therefore Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again the second time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, see, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose, and he came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent unto thee, saying, come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, wherefore I am come from Geshur. It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. So Joab came to the king and told him, and when he called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. And Shalom, that was 2 Samuel chapter 14.
Okay, you got anything on that?
Brother Leonard, I would just have, if you could break down whenever you get to it, verse 17 and verse 20 kind of goes with it too. But where it says, then thy handmaid said, the word of my Lord the king shall now be comfortable, for as an angel of God, so is my Lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee.
So we just like we know with Michael, he operating like Yahweh, right?
Right, sir.
And David operating like him.
Right.
That's what she's saying.
Okay.
But you see the wickedness what Joab done in that story, right?
Well, he got a line to David.
You got what?
He Joab put her up to it.
Yeah.
Go talk to David.
Everything that she's saying is what he wanted to tell David.
Right.
But notice what he did though. 22. Joab fell up to the ground on his face, bowed himself, and thanked the king. And Joab said, today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my Lord, O king, in that the king have fulfilled the request of thy servant. So he didn't kill him. See that? Because what he done was wicked as hell. He didn't kill him. So I had this conversation before on a couple of conversations on these lines. When you go further and you get into Second Kings, David Solomon took over David's throne, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
So David has, before David died, before Solomon could take David's throne, he had to clean up all the things that happened, all of the what they called hiccups that was in David's life. This was one of them. That's why he had to kill. That's why he killed Joab. He said, but now he had to kill Joab. A lot of people don't get all that, but David told him all the things that had happened that needed to be straightened out before he take his throne. The one guy I told you about that threw the rocks at David when he was crossing the Jordan.
Right. Sir.
All the people that had offended David, Solomon had to clean it up. So rather than, and by that I mean he had to kill him, but he gave that guy a chance. He told him, you got to live the rest of your life out in Jerusalem. If you ever leave Jerusalem, that's the day you're gonna die. And then so he had some sheep that had got lost, and they went over into Jordan somewhere, and he went to go got them. He went and got them. When he came back, Solomon killed him. And then he killed Joab because of this right here. He took all the blood out of David that was on David. He had to clean it all up in order to start a right with his kingdom. But a lot of people don't see none of it, don't see all that in it. But that's what's going on. That's how, and when you understand all that, that's how you can see when it says, which is so many people get discombobulated about it, but he says, the Lord said unto my Lord. When you understand all that, you can see who the two Lords is. Like what he just said right here. Notice in 22, Joel fell to the ground on his face, bowed himself, right? And he thanked the king. Ain't that what Abraham did?
It is.
Michael?
Mm-hmm.
And then Absalom just done it. Over here it says 33. So Joab came to the king, told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king, bowed himself with his face to the ground. See that? Before the king. And the king kissed Absalom. So the Absalom and both of these men, they got a problem with David, but because of who he is, they got to get down on the ground. Same way with the Lord of hosts. See that?
Right. Yes, sir. Makes
Okay.
sense. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read chapter 15. So Absalom revolt against David. So this is where we just talked about it in 12. It's going to get fulfilled. It says, and it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, of what city art thou? And he said, thy servant is of one tribe of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, see, thy matter are good and right, but there is no man disputed of the king to hear thee. Okay. Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that I were made in the land, that every man which have any suit or cause might come unto me, and I will be him, and I will do him justice. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obstinance, so see, he want obstinate. That's what Joab and Absalom just did to David, not but Absalom wanted him. But David's still alive. Okay, he wanted the abstinence. He put forth his hand, took him, and kissed him, and and that's what David just done. Up here in verse 33. Okay, and on this manner did Absalom to all Israel. They came to the king for judgment, So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel, and it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said uh, unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebrew, in Hebrew, in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, go in peace. So he arose and he went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as he hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. And Absalom sent for people I told you about. This is a story I told you what they did with JC. When JC and I keep on forgetting that guy name.
And Judas.
Yeah, this is where they get it from right here. Judas and Jesus. This is it happened right here. Absalom sent for Amathal, the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilead, while he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. And there came a messenger to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us uh, suddenly and bring evil upon us and smite the city with the edge of the sword. So I want to shine a light on this right quick. You remember what the lady told David? She said David is like the angel of the Lord, his wisdom and his knowledge. Well, here you go right here. 14. It says 13. There came messengers. See that? There came messengers to David saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom, right? So you would say, what's the big idea? A lot of people love Absalom. Now here goes the spiritual part of it. David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee. See that? Well, you know his life in danger. See that? You discern that. And let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed. See that? It's urgent. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us and smite the city with the edge of the sword. So he had discernment to know that Absalom had a plot to kill him. So 15, and the king's servant said unto the king, behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king should appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him, and the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Geshurites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men, which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then said the king to Ittai the Gittite, wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to the place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger and also an exile, whereas thou camest but yesterday. Should I this day make thee go up and down with us, seeing I go whither I may? Return thou and take back thy brethren's mercy and truth be with thee. And Ittai answered the king and said, as the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in that place, my lord the king shall be, whether it in death or life. Even there also will I servant be. And David said, this is the same thing what Ruth said. That's spiritual. Okay. So let me read again. Ittai answered the king and said, as the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or in life, even there also will thy servant be. That's what Ruth told Naomi. And David said unto Ittai, go and pass over. And Ittai and the Gittite passed over, and all his men and all his little ones that were with him, and all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook of Kidron, and all the people passed over toward the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zodok also and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God. And Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zodok, carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am no, okay, let me see this. Here am I. Let him do to me that seems good unto him. The king said also unto Zodok the priest, art not thou a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your two sons with you, Ahamas thy son, and Jonathan, the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plains of the wilderness until there cometh word from you to certify me. Zodok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olive. Check it out. David went up by the ascent of Mount Olive. See that? Mount Olive. And he wept as he went up, just like JC doing, and had his head covered. And he went barefoot, and all the people that were with him covered every man his head, and they went up weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, here you go, Abiathar is among the conspirators with Absalom. See that? Just like Judas, Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Abiathar into foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the Mount of Olives, where he worshiped, behold, Hasha, the Archite, came to meet him with his coat rent and the earth upon his head, unto whom David said, is thou passive on with me? Then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant here too, so will I know also be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Amathal, and hast thou not there with thee Zodok and Abiathar the priest? Therefore it shall be that with what thing soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zodok and Abiathar the priest. And behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zodok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them we shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. So Hasha, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. So that was 2 Samuel chapter 15. So what's going on is David had this guy Hushai to go back into Jerusalem to have ears, be a spy for him to find out everything that was going on, and then Abiathar and his son would relay the information back to David, and that's how David got out of it. And eventually, in chapter 16, Absalom got killed. But like I said before, we only reading 5 chapters. But if you would continue on in chapter 16, you'll see that Armithal betrayed David. He was David's best friend, one of David's best friends, just like the story of Jesus and Judas. And then after it was found out that Armithal had betrayed David, Armithal went and killed himself. He hung himself. So that's what the story of Judas and Judas Iscariot and JC come from. It's predicated off of this story right here. Okay. Anybody got anything on chapter 15?
And so, shalom, brother Leonard. That's a perfect example of what you had taught me of the typology,
Oh
right?
yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you like I was saying, once you register and you really got a hold of this, you can see they ain't leave no stone unturned. They using everything. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort. It's very wicked. You
Oh
know.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so yeah,
Shalom.
okay.
And just agreeing with what both of you are saying, that this story is copied and pasted in the Greek Testament. I knew somebody hung themselves. I didn't even put together that this is exactly what Judas did in the New Testament.
Right.
He was a traitor. He hung himself, and that's exactly what happens. And it makes you laugh.
Oh yeah.
It makes me laugh because we keep saying it on these classes, but when you just stay in the back of the book, you don't know it's copied and paste. You
Right.
have no clue. But yes, sir, that's just another thing that I learned today, that this is another copy and paste session that they had to make that book.
Exactly. And then like I said, in 2026, with everything that's going on, and you still dealing with JC, it's shameful. Yeah, real
Yes, sir.
shameful. Because like I said, even on well next week when you start reading this next week, you're gonna see not even just that, but what this guy hung himself like Judas did, but David went up on the Mount of Olives. David had a mule or a donkey. He sit off to the side like JC told him. He told one of his prophets, one of his apostles, go get the ass and tie it up somewhere. Where the same thing happened with David. David on a mule. David riding on a mule came up on Mount of Olives. It's crazy. Oh yeah. Is that something?
Yes, sir. I'll be
Okay.
excited to read it. I had always wondered in movies, why are we really pushing this person on a donkey? And
Well,
that's why.
yeah, because all they're doing is copying what they got from the Old Testament. I mean, from what David done. Yeah, it's in 2 Samuel 17. And when Armithal saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and got him home to his house and his city, put his household in order, and hanged himself and died and was buried in the sepulchre of his fathers. There it is right there. Did the exact same thing Judas did. Judas Iscariot did. That's where they come from. So, everybody good? We're going to pick a scripture and we'll read that scripture. And then we'll break it down and we'll close out. Okay? Anybody got any scripture they want to read?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Can I read from Psalms 80?
Okay.
And it's just 14 through 17, and it says, "Return, return, we beseech thee, O God of hosts. Look down from heaven and behold, and visit this vine in the vineyard which thy right hand hath planted, in the branch that thou madest strong for thyself. It is burned with fire, it is cut down, they perish at the rebuke of thy countenance. Let thy right hand be upon the man of thy right hand, upon the Son of Man, whom thou madest strong for thyself." And Shalom, that was Psalms 80, verses 14 through 17.
Okay. What you got out of that?
Well, in verse 17, Brother Leonard, this Son of Man is sounding like King David.
It is King David.
Okay.
Said he made him strong. He sent Samuel to go anoint him and made him king. Made him strong. Okay. So let me answer this right quick before we go. So the brother says, let me get it. Says, if someone is from a direct royal lineage of Judah, would they be considered Hebrew Israelite? Yeah, exactly. The Hebrew Israelites is 12 tribes of Israel. So if you are the lineage of Judah, direct lineage out of Judah, then you're a Hebrew Israelite also. Judah, one of the tribes. So yeah. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, everybody. We have our Women's Advanced Bible Study tomorrow night. Men can come in through YouTube. See everybody at 7 p.m. Central Time. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.